I work for a microfinance institution called Juhudi Kilimo, which in Kiswahili, means productive farmer. We focus on providing microfinance services exclusively in agriculture. And we focus on deep rural smallholder farmers. So the difference between us and other microfinance institutions is twofold. One, we go into deep rural areas, so the Faulus and the Kenya Women's and the KCBs and all the other financial institutions that are out there tend to focus around the main market town. So they'll go, 15, 20 kilometers from, let's say, Kisii or Nyamira, whereas we tend to go much deeper, 100 kilometers. And then the second big difference in our model between us and the others is that while other microfinance institutions finance primarily working capital and consumption, we finance agricultural assets that generate income. So the classic example of this is our flagship asset, the dairy cow. So if a farmer buys a dairy cow, if we finance it for them, with all everything that they need to pay for inputs, feed, agrovet services, all those things, minus the returns that they get, they end up with a 50% net return on that investment. So it generates 14 liters of milk a day. They keep 4 for consumption. They're left with 10 that they can sell on the market. They pay our interest, which is about 18% flat, and they're still left with a 30% return. So what we found at Juhudi was that if you finance productive income-generating agricultural assets, you're building up the farmer's income-generating balance sheet. So the farmer takes one loan from us, gets one dairy cow, which generates roughly around $500 plus a year. And then they graduate onto their second loan, so they get another cow, and soon enough they have 4 cows and a zero grazing unit, and then with all the dung that they're able to generate from the cow, they're able to build a biogas unit. So now they have gas that they can use to power their stoves instead of paying for firewood or instead of paying for charcoal. So slowly we build up the farmer's asset base and help them graduate out of poverty. Now where mobile comes into this entire equation is that we're building a mobile ecosystem, as we like to call it, which is a series of applications that speak to our main MIS, our Management Information System, that really help us, make our operations more efficient internally, and also provide critical information that our farmers need from our system. So just to give you some examples, and why efficiency really matters is because we go into such deep rural areas, we have a much higher cost base than the other MFIs. So the more we can become efficient, the more we can scale and reach more and more farmers in even deeper rural areas who really need access to our credit. So one classic example of this is an SMS survey tool that, I don't know, Jeremy was here a little while back, but Jeremy Gordon, who was a volunteer with us, helped us develop. It's called Mswali. So one of the things we really struggle with having 10,000 farmers spread all over Kenya is collecting information from farmers. So if we were to send out our field staff with paper-based surveys, it would take a lot of time. It'd be a lot of management effort to make sure that it was, well coordinated and done to the highest levels of quality and so on. But what we developed, or what Jeremy helped us develop, is this SMS-based survey tool that really works on any phone that can do SMS, and that's every phone, I guess, now. And so it's an interactive tool. We launch a survey through a web-based portal, design it with all the logic and everything. It's linked to an SMS gateway on the cloud, and then we have a feedback, a conversation with the farmer. So for example, if we want to ask our farmers where they're selling their milk, what sort of price they're selling it at, if we want to collect data around the Grameen Progress Out of Poverty Index, which is the main way that we calculate our social impact, it's very easy for us to have that conversation through one sort of central person who's running this survey, rather than managing it across so many field staff. Another example is Simple MFI. So before our operations were paper-based, they were based on paper-based ledgers, all the information from our clients. So how much was dispersed, how much is being repaid, and how much needs to be repaid was on paper. Then I guess 5 to 10 years ago, the transition happened to MISs. I guess a lot of institutions started out with Excel and they eventually moved to core banking systems. But what we found was before the advent of mobile, because our loan officers have to go out to the field and they need this information there to talk to clients, to be able to tell them how much they need to pay, for example, to follow up on overdue loans. They had to carry the paper out with them as well. But this mobile phone here and Simple MFI has solved that problem for us. So all 33 of our loan officers now have one of these iDEOS phones, and there's an application here called Simple MFI which reads directly from our system. So our system exports the data to the cloud, and then this application, any sort of data network, whether it's Wi-Fi or HSPA or EVDO 2.5G, our officers just sync the data and are able to look at all the information from our system. Another example on the same phone, so we found that we gave this phone to our loan officers. Now they've started using Open Data Kit, which is this open source mobile form called ODK Collect. So now instead of filling paper-based forms, they're filling all the loan data, all the basic client information, all the data that we use to appraise our clients on this phone, and it gets exported directly to the cloud and then goes into our system. And that then feeds into a document management system where, you know, it goes through a couple of series of approvals and the money gets dispersed by M-Pesa. So before we had to deal with a lot of paper and there was a lot of couriers back and forth, but now we can disperse loans in 15 minutes if the approvals happen in 15 minutes. Another example is these SMS-based and USSD-based tools. So our clients historically, if they wanted to find out what their balance was, they had their passbooks, and you know, the passbooks were sometimes accurate, sometimes not, because it's just the group treasurer that's filling the information in there. So in order to find out how much they had, you know, they'd have to call up their loan officer who would consult the ledger, the paper-based register. But now they can just send a simple SMS-based query balance to our number and get a reply, and our system tells them how much they owe. So these are just some examples from the mobile ecosystem. Some of them we've implemented, some of them are in different stages of implementation. But the idea is that, you know, mobile is really helping us deliver information both to our loan officers, to our clients, and really helping them get rid of this paper so that they can focus on doing what they do best, which is serving rural smallholder farmers, going deeper and running more volumes on the business.